yet seen my video on Janelle Eason, make sure you check out my main channel page, and you can get caught up with what's going on with Janelle. Let's quick jump into what's going on with Mama June from Not to Hot of WeTV fame, along with Here Comes Honey Boo Boo and Toddlers and Tiaras. We've been covering the story because she was arrested in March, and I generally cover reality stories that relate to those types of like criminal stuff, unless it's Farrah. I don't know why. Farrah is just interesting to me. So Mama June was arrested in March and charged with multiple drug possession and paraphernalia. Both her and Geno Doak's, her boyfriend, Doak, in Alabama, following a altercation between the two of them for DV. Now, there's been a lot of speculation about what's going on with this case. She had been remanded or bonded out on an $11,000 bond. She and Geno paid $1,000 to the state of through a bond, surety, cash, whatever. And since their since the release from bond in March, there had been a lot of stuff going on, whether or not the case was, what was going on with the case, where was this case going to. They were back in Georgia. How did she get back to Georgia? Because she was, one of the terms of her release from on her bond was that she was not to leave the state of Alabama, yet she did. So she was back in Georgia. She sold her home that she purchased a couple of years ago for the family, and the home was completely gutted. It's actually been completely remodeled, and it's now back on the market. So the family, or the people that purchased the home, actually purchased it as a flip and gutted the house, remodeled it, and now it's back on the market again. So that, I didn't have any photos of the new newly remodeled home at this time. So back in August, on August 29th or 23rd, I believe, she was arraigned or indicted on the charges. So initially they charged her with the possession, and then they indicted her with the possession, and then they set up her arraignment. Today in Alabama court was her arraignment. There had been a lot of speculation on whether or not she would appear. She has not appeared. She had failed to appear in some court hearings previously, and her previous attorney had withdrawn from the case. There was some questions on whether or not she would return, lots of rumors swirling on where they're living. TMZ reported that they had purchased an RV, and they were deciding that they were going to drive all over the United States, apparently, in an RV. So there was questions looming on whether or not they were actually running from the law. Today, the answer was made. The couple actually showed up in Alabama at court, thank goodness, and TMZ had all the photos. So here was Mama June and Geno arriving in court this morning. She was in a hood. She covered up her face. And interestingly, the production crew, and obviously this was watermarked from TMZ, the production crew from her show on WeTV for Mama June Not to Hot was there to film her arrival. So there has been a lot of questions on whether or not her show is going to proceed. Clearly, with We Production, they're filming her arrival. It seems that they've decided that they are going to move forward with watching this entire thing play out. I have no idea why. Apparently, they'd like MTV, to do the downfall or maybe watch the collapse. To date, I've heard nothing on whether or not she's actually sought any treatment for her health, for her addiction, nor has Geno. And the children, Lauren and Honey Boo Boo, Alana, have been estranged from Mama June. So today in court, they arraigned her on the charges. They will be back tomorrow in court. At least Mama will be. If convicted on this, they face multiple years in prison. However, with the fact that she is not an offender with having other arrests related to drugs in the state of Alabama, with the specific felony that she's charged with, she's unlikely to serve prison time, according to Alabama law, from what I've read. However, it all depends on how it all shakes out and what the actual, if she pleads or whatever. So she's charged with currently arraigned on one charge of possession, which is a felony, and then a charge of paraphernalia, which is a misdemeanor. Both of them have the same charges. So they're arraigned today. She's expecting to plead not guilty, and then this will continue to move forward. The good news now is that since she did appear in court, she will no longer be considered non-appearing and fleeing from the court. Thank goodness for that. But there's a lot of questions here about why WeTV is continuing to film her, considering the fact that she declined an intervention, or they attempted an intervention on her late last season, and she went there for like a few hours and left because she didn't want to admit that she had a problem, obviously. And it doesn't appear over the course of these past few months that she's done anything to actually be clean. In fact, the girls have separated themselves from her. Alana and Pumpkin have both been on Instagram. In a previous video a couple weeks ago, I shared this very heartfelt post that Honey Boo Boo, or Alana, put on her Instagram. And then earlier, a couple days ago, she wrote this: "Can we just be real for a second? Let me tell y'all how proud I am of myself. I have honestly been through hell and back this year, and I'm still standing. I've been doing so good in school, and just being more happy. I get so much hate, but then I think about who all loves me, and I know them haters mean nothing. I have so much going for me and so many people that love me, and the best words that you can hear is, I see you trying. I'm proud. I'm so proud for you." But really, that feeling is a whole different story. Knowing you are making people happy, and most importantly, you, hits so different. Let me just be the one to tell y'all, if you are going through anything right now, trust me, it gets better. You are worth it. I am so proud of you. I can see you trying. I love you. And then she shared this photo. So Alana's actually been really, really insightful the last few weeks. She wrote this really touching letter to her niece about how much she loved her daughter's, her sister, Pumpkin's youngest daughter, only daughter, who's a year old, and talked about how much she has such unconditional love for this little girl that isn't based on whether or not this girl needs anything from her. And it was almost as though she was writing a letter to her mother and all of the ways that her mother has let her down over the years. Mama June actually surrendered custody of Honey Boo Boo and signed it over to her 19-year-old daughter, Lauren, who goes by Pumpkin. And Alana is living with Pumpkin and her husband and their 1-year-old daughter. So Pumpkins has now taken on the role of being Alana's sister mom, has her enrolled in public school again. Previously, she had been pulled out of public school and was homeschooled. And so they're trying to get her more integrated into a more normal life instead of always being working as she has been, to get her back with her friends. Her dad, Sugar Bear, actually agreed to allow Alana to take custody of her because he did not want to remove her from her home and all of her friends. So as hard as it's been for the girls, I continue to feel so even though she says she's doing really well, I'm sure there's a ton of hurt there. But it's just amazing to see the sort of character that she has and how she continues to use this extremely tragic thing that's going on in her life as a way to get better and to help inspire others, which is really very telling. Alana seems like a really sweet girl that has just had a really tough life and has had a mother that has basically thrown her into the spotlight and used her for their family's income for her entire life. So hopefully Alana can finally get some normalcy by going to school and having some real life experiences outside of the entertainment industry. However, it does seem at this point that WeTV is still filming, and obviously this is their meal, this is how they make their money. But at the same time, I feel so bad for this little girl. She has been on TV forever. I can't imagine that the long-term ramifications and what that's going to look like. She's going to need a lot of support, and I really hope that, and I've said this before, that both Lauren, Pumpkin, and Honey Boo Boo are receiving support or some sort of services from somewhere, whether it's therapy or through resources through WeTV to help them through this very difficult time. Mama June has completely made her choice. She's going to stick to her drug addiction, and she's going to stick with her extremely toxic boyfriend, Geno, who is verbally abusive and psychologically abusive, absolutely. And Mama June has a pattern of staying with men and picking men over her children. She did that with Sugar Bear, where she was in a very 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 unhealthy relationship. She was actually fired from TLC's Here Comes Honey Boo Boo because she got back together with a man that was put in prison for molesting her oldest daughter, and she now is with Geno, who is, again, not a good person. And it appears that this drug addiction could be the result of her gastric sleeve surgery, where she which can happen. It's called transfer addiction, where someone that goes through bariatric surgery ends up transferring their food addiction, which can release some of the same dopamines in the brain, and transferring that to alcohol or drugs. And it's a known side effect that can happen, and it's why doctors typically suggest that people going through that surgery continue with therapy as they are losing the weight, so they can work through the issues that cause them to become binge eaters or whatever their eating disorder was to begin with. So all we can continue to do is hope that at some point she wakes up and realizes what she's doing to herself and what she's doing to her family. And at least at this point, Alana and Pumpkin continue to have everything pointing on they're going in the right direction. At some point, I do hope that this show gets the plug pulled, because as long as she has money, there's nothing that will stop her from hitting her bottom. If she can continue to support her habit, there's no reason for her to get clean. And it doesn't appear that losing her family was enough of a wake-up call. So that's what I have for now. And I will be back later. And if you have any topics that you'd like me to cover, please send me a message on Instagram or on Facebook or on Twitter. Those links to my social media are included in the descriptions. Before you leave, make sure you give this video a thumbs up and leave me some comments below on what you think or what you like about these stories. If there's something that you have thinking about with Mama June, I'll keep you abreast of what's going on with this case, as I have been. And I'll be back with more. I'm going to try to do a story not related to reality TV later this afternoon. I'm going to try to integrate each day one story that is more a news story related to something happening with some sort of parents in the news, whether it's a crime or something going on with medical stuff or birth or whatever, because I want to get back to my roots. As much as I love this kind of stuff, I also love reporting on crime and that kind of stuff. So I'll be back later, guys. Bye.